7:15 right now. An important element in this year's campaign, both at the presidential level and at the state and local level, as well as congressional level as well, is the role of certain Christian organizations in American politics. Well, producer Norman Lear and former Iowa Senator Harold Hughes have been taking a look at some of these developments, and they are disturbed by some of the directions that they've been taking. They have formed an organization called the American Way.
People for the American Way.
Yeah.
I'd like, if I may, Tom, just to correct one thing that Jane said in her introduction. She said that we considered the work of evangelicals not the American way, that they're a mixture in politics, and it's hardly why I'm sitting here with an evangelical myself.
Yeah.
I think they have the right, if not the obligation, to speak out on any political issue.
But what prompted you to get so directly involved in this kind of a campaign, which is a counter-campaign to groups like the Moral Majority and others?
It's the fact that that we think the integrity of those people who disagree with them are so severely attacked. They don't seem to brook any room for disagreement.
All right. We're going to show a commercial that you have produced now that you hope to run on stations around the country that is part of your campaign. Let's take a look at that.
Hi, I have a problem. I'm religious. We're a religious family, but that don't mean we see things the same way politically. Now here come certain preachers on radio and TV and in the mail telling us on a bunch of political issues that there's just one Christian position, and implying if we don't agree, we're not good Christians. So my son is a bad Christian on two issues. My wife is a good Christian on those issues, but she's a bad Christian on two others. Lucky me, I'm 100% Christian because I agree with the preacher on all of it. Now, my problem is, I know my boy is as good a Christian as me. My wife, she's better. So maybe there's something wrong when people, even preachers, suggest that other people are good Christians or bad Christians, depending on their political views. That's not the American way.
If you agree and want to help more people think about this, contact People for the American Way, Box 2000, Marion, Ohio, or phone 800-648-5000.
Senator Harold Hughes, former senator from Iowa, is an evangelical who has been involved in both politics at the elective level and in the evangelical movement. What is your major objection to the way some of these groups now are conducting themselves, Senator Hughes?
Well, I think primarily the same thing Norman said, is that they make a tremendous number of Christians across the country feel that somehow they've missed the way, they're out of step, or they have no salvation unless they agree with the viewpoint that is being presented by whatever Christian organization it is.
A checklist of issues that they...
A checklist of issues, you know, that they particularly think are important, have every right to espouse, but certainly there are many of us in the evangelical Christian community and the mainline churches of America who disagree with many or the majority of the issues that they're espousing. And I think this is wrong, to imply and confuse the Christian community and certainly the overall community in America as a result of their presentations in this way.
Mr. Lear, let me ask you a question. A number of people are now beginning to point out, as this debate is being joined at the national level, that in the past other preachers have become involved in American politics. William Sloane Coffin in the campaign against the war, Reverend Martin Luther King in the campaign for civil rights in this country, and members of the liberal community then didn't say, well, wait a minute. They ought not to be involved because we have a separation of church and state here. Is there a kind of a dual attitude, depending on whether or not you agree with the issues?
No, I don't think so. If William Sloane Coffin or any of the others suggested at that time that anybody who disagreed on any of these political matters was less a Christian or less American, less worthy, that their compact with God was threatened because they believed a certain way, then they were just as guilty as we feel the new religious right is, to make the same suggestions with people who disagree with them now.
Senator Hughes, undeniably, this movement has taken hold in many parts of the country, including your old state of Iowa, as a matter of fact. Obviously, it's an answer to something that is going on in the land, the fact that they're having the success that they are with this Christian political movement. Wouldn't you agree with that?
Well, absolutely. I think all of us are tired of the, quote, moral decline in America, the threat to the family structure, the pornographic questions, the real serious questions of life and death, like capital punishment, abortion, and war and peace, and so on. And I think there's a real concern for America, totally across the nation, and we all share that concern. But many of us have different answers. The implication, for example, that a liberal cannot be a Christian is one which I really take issue with, being a liberal senator, a liberal governor, and a liberal Democrat all of my political life, you know, and trying to follow Christ in everything that I do. But because I disagree with the majority on these issues, you know, or what they call the moral majority, then the implication is that I'm certainly not a Christian, or if so, you know, not a very good one.
Personally, have you been hearing from these groups?
Well, I've heard not from the groups directly or the leadership from the groups, but from the states saying, well, it's critical of my, when I do speak, that this isn't the only way, and that theologically there are other solutions that can be reached.
Isn't there a danger that by doing this, you'll give those organizations perhaps more credibility and more visibility than they may have received otherwise?
I don't think so. I think the media has covered intensely since August, starting with the New York Times sometime in August, right straight through all of television and the rest of the print media. But this is the first time a group is organized largely of clergymen and women. We are about 18 or so of the mainline churches organized here to counter it. It's the first counter. It's the first time, to my knowledge, that a group of secular citizens and theologians have gotten together to say, wait a minute, enough is enough. We can't have the integrity of people attacked, and their religious beliefs and their citizenship and their pact with God and their rights to believe themselves good Christians simply because they disagree.
I think we should all, in fairness to everyone concerned here, point out as well this morning that while you're appearing on this program, that your commercials will not appear for the most part on NBC or on CBS or on ABC, yes, on all three major networks. Spokesman for all three networks pointing out that they represented an editorial point of view.
Now they have the networks have a one-line rule, which is substantively they will not accept paid advertising that is or threatens to be controversial.
But so you're going to run them on other stations around the country?
Independent stations around the country who have a little more mature attitude.
Okay, I'll let you take that up with other people. Thank you, Norman Lear and Senator Hughes. This is Today on NBC.